Okay, we're live. Hello. Hi. I am Mike Scheibinger here at Virtu Studio in Madison, Wisconsin, and happy holidays. Today is the sort of the official beginning of the holiday season with Thanksgiving weekend, and what better way to spend a Thanksgiving weekend than here with you in a live stream Spectral Layers presentation. It's good to be back. Our last one wasn't too long ago, and it's good to be back with some more. And let's start off. We'll kick a little music off here. And here we have a little bit of ambient music kind of softly playing in the background. Here it is about 10:47 a.m. And we'll start in about 13 minutes. And I'm going to set my little timer here for 13. And away we go. So this is a little warm up here to make sure the connection is working okay. And make sure that you can hear me and stuff. It's always a little bit nerve-wracking getting started, but I think we've got it. Somebody's already here. 2 people. Coors Leo is here, and so is Kevin. Hello, you guys. So yeah, thanks for checking in, and glad to see you. So over in the comments section, I'm hoping that you'll have some stories about some little treats that you've perhaps purchased for yourself here on what they call it the Black Friday, the big sale where everybody looks for the deals and they go out and get them. And I bought a couple of things. I bought a plug-in and I bought a kind of an analog chorus device, and I already have Spectral Layers. You probably know that, but if you don't have it, you might want to put it on your list and go over to the Steinberg store and see what the deal is. I'm not really sure what the deal is, and so you have to go over there and see. And we're going to start in about 11 and a half minutes, and we have more people checking in. Kevin's first time. Well, relax and enjoy yourself here. We're going to take a nice, easy-going pace. This is not like the Steinberg, the official tutorials that you see, that were sort of like, professionally done or whatever. Those are really quick and to the point. These live streams, they tend to take a little longer. We go on a deep dive. I explain things a little more thoroughly. And but the cool thing is that after the live stream is over, I'll take a little bit of a rest and then come back tonight, and I will create index points inside of the YouTube video, and label them, very clearly with what the information is, and then you can click on that index point and go and learn about, how to transfer stuff from layer to layer, or how to use the tools. Unmixed components, unmixed stems, and all that. Whatever I'm doing, I will document in the index so that you can go back to it and learn that way. Cubase 12 is on the way, as per an email. Hey, Tim. Good to see you. Yeah, David Kovac says, how do they do it? One major release after another. This is, I've been working for Spectral Layers now for the past 3 releases, or the next one will be my 3rd. And I couldn't believe how fast 8 came after 7. It was, didn't take a breath. And it came up with a lot of nice new features, too. It was, for only a year of gap in between the 2 programs, there was, after, we piled up all the features in a list and started looking at the impact, why, it was a good release. And some of these features I'll be showing you today during this live stream. Louis, hello, amigos. Why don't you guys type in where you are, so that I can get an idea about the geography here. I really like, people checking in from all over the world. It's very cool. There were so many different places last time I just love that. A lot of people from Sweden, a lot of people from Russia. It was great. And I've been to both of those places. And so when I see that, hello, Stockholm and stuff like that, it takes me back to when I was there and having some really good times. Yep, we have the Netherlands here. North Carolina. How's the weather in North Carolina today? Here we have a cold and clear November morning. Here it's 10:52 a.m. Like I said, cold and clear. Winter is coming. The leaves are off the trees, and time to button up the house and time to hunker down for the winter. Mission Viejo, California, Pensacola, Scotland. Yeah. Great. Wow, we're filling up fast. It's really great. We'll start in about 7.5 minutes. And little music playing in the background. I'll just maybe turn this up just a tiny little bit. It's a little ambient piece. This is a little ambient piece that I created between the last live stream and today. And deep inside of here, if you go to one of the live streams, you can see that I did some harmonic deconstruction on this cranky old chord organ that has like a motor in it and a blower, almost like a harmonica, but on a table and a keyboard. And instead of blowing in it, you have this electric motor. And it had a really, really complex sound. And I was taking that sound apart with unmixed components, and you could really see how that sound was built. And I was pulling out even harmonics and odd harmonics. And after I got done with that, I kept some of those even and odd harmonics and different things. And I buried them inside of this soundscape. And it's going to be, of course, it'll be really hard to hear in there, but they're in there. And I use spectral layers all the time to create soundscapes and sound design stuff. And once you get used to it, it's really super easy, especially in ARA mode in Cubase or Nuendo. Brazil, England, Poland, worldwide. We are covering the globe here. So exciting. It's so cool. Thanks for coming. See here, I have this thing up on my screen in the middle on top and says Gear of the Year. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. And we've been recognized by Sound on Sound. And give me a thumbs up if you read Sound on Sound, or if you've ever read one, or if you know what it is. I want to see out there who is a Sound on Sound reader. Totally one of the top magazines. Scott's Synth Stuff, Cleveland, Ohio. Yeah. A lot of Americans here checking in from all over the states. It's really great. Well, I suppose so, because everyone's on Thanksgiving break, right? So, Thursday was Thanksgiving, and everyone had their big dinner, and then after dinner you sleep it off. And then you start hitting the sales and seeing what you can get out there. A lot of software sales, a lot. Oh. Monoto Stereo says, I hope life is treating you well. Yes, life is treating me well. It'll be treating me even better if this Hangout goes, technically correct with all of the bandwidth and all that. I'm not on a really super strong internet connection here, but I've had pretty good luck in the past. Yeah. I'm out in the country. I live in a rural area of Wisconsin, and I live about 15 minutes away from the city center of Madison. And so I'm well out in farmland out here. And I have a tower-to-tower connection, not a fiber connection or a cable, but something that's a little bit more unstable. But today looks pretty good so far. Start in about 4 minutes. Thumbs up. Sunny and almost 50. That's really great. You know, one thing about this time of year in this south of the United States, it's just absolutely gorgeous. Down there in the Carolinas, in Virginia, Alabama. The fall colors down there are amazing. You get really nice extended autumns. I remember spending this time of year in Norfolk, Virginia one year. And the weather was, especially at night, the weather was just absolutely perfect. It was beautiful. All right. Again, my name is Mike Scheibinger. I'm here at this place called Virtu Studio. And if I have my numbers right here, I think this is the 9th live stream. And all in all, we have about 32 videos. Now, we have a new video coming next week. We have a video about beat construction coming next week, featuring unmixed components. So keep your eyes on the YouTube and get ready for a new video that's going to launch next week. And then, you know, that's pretty much gonna be it for the year. I think I might drop another video in December. We'll see. Oh, and that reminds me, you know, on the YouTube channels, we would really like it if you would tell us about what you would like to see in Spectral Layers, what kind of demos that you would like to see. You know, we've covered a lot of ground, but I'm always looking for the next use case. It's, you know, after you've put out 30-some videos, you know, it's not super easy to find, you know, fresh use cases that are sort of like, you know, really knockout cool, you know, use cases. But every once in a while, something comes along and it's like, oh, I have to show this because it's so cool. And if you guys have any ideas about that, post it in the YouTube channel, and then maybe I'll get a hold of you, try to contact you, and actually get a use case file from you that I can use in either a tutorial video or a live stream demonstration like this. I would love to take your content and use it in one of these. Of course, it can't be any copyrighted material, which is really kind of too bad. It would be so cool, you know, if I could, you know, break out, you know, a song off of one of your favorite albums or whatever, you know, and break it down. Unfortunately, I can't do that, but wouldn't that be great though, you know, if you could? That would be super cool. But we have to be really careful about the material that we use because we don't want to infringe on any copyrights, because that's not cool, you know. And like, there might be an artist out there who doesn't want to see their song deconstructed in Spectral Layers, and so we have to honor that. So we'll start in about 30 seconds. Is this live stream? Yes, we're recording this live stream right now, and it'll be available for viewing immediately after it's over. But if you wait a day and come back, then when you come back to the live stream, it will be completely indexed. I go in there and I make index points for every little operation that I do. And so you'll be able to just click on the index point and get to the place that you want to see. And we'll let this track finish. This track is going to be over in just a minute, and then we'll get started right away. And thanks for hanging with me here. I like to start a little bit early so that I don't have any unanticipated like meltdowns, you know. So thanks for hanging with me on this one. Baltimore. Hey Randall, yeah, that's great. That's great. Let's get in touch somehow, and you know, you can bring me some stuff, some royalty-free stuff, and maybe we can slip it into the next live stream. Okay, let's get started. I'd like to get started by talking a little bit about this gear of the year here that you see. And we have won a Gear of the Year award for 2021 from Sound on Sound, which is one of the best magazines in the world for reviews of audio gear and great stories about recording studio legends. It's just, as you know, Sound on Sound, SOS. It's one of the greatest. It comes out of the UK, and it's a really, really great magazine. And they decided to give us a Gear of the Year award for 2021. And I've copied and pasted their little blurb. They have one paragraph, and I'll read it to you and make some comments. It says, "The considerable potential of spectral editing software has always been easy to see, but often difficult to exploit." And I think what they mean when they say difficult to exploit, what they mean is that in spectral editing applications, spectral layers included, the way it used to be was that you had to render stuff out of the DAW, import it into spectral layers, do the spectral editing, render the content back out to your desktop or whatever, and then re-import it or import it, the finished product, back into your DAW. And, you know, that's a lot of work. And a lot of times, you know, it's worth it, but it takes time. And you always, you know, in a process like that where you have to render something out and bring it back in, you're always asking yourself, you know, oh, you know, is it really worth it or not? And of course, if it's really worth it, you're going to do it despite the hassle. But if it's not really, you know, if it's not a deal breaker, then you're going to shy away from doing that. You're going to shy away because it takes too much time and it's going to break your flow. And so, you know, that's what Sound on Sound means when they say it's been difficult to exploit because you had to export a lot, you know, back and forth. And then it goes on to say Steinberg have performed a massive reboot of the application. While it has gained some very impressive new features, the most significant improvement has been in accessibility. Now, when they say accessibility, I think they mean accessibility from within the DAW, because now you can access Spectral Layers Pro directly from within Cubase in the window in a seamless operation, and I'm going to show you that a lot today. Powerful editing tasks that were once very difficult to perform have become AI-fueled and can often be carried out with a few clicks, including the remarkable stem unmixing process. Yeah, in addition to the stem unmixing process, we also have the unmix components process, which takes, like, say, for example, the sound of one instrument and breaks it into parts. The stem unmixing process breaks a mixed track up into bass, guitar, drums, keyboards, vocals, instruments. But the unmixed components process takes an individual instrument like a drum or a guitar or anything, and it breaks it into tonal, transient, and noise layers. And so unmixed components and unmixed stems are sort of birds of a feather. They use the same kind of, you know, AI algorithms and stuff like that. But, you know, unmixed components has this like special focus, and it makes it really, really cool for a lot of different things. And I'm going to be showing you unmixed components today in at least 3 different ways. And goes on to say, with almost seamless integration into Cubase via the ARA2 extension format, which is brilliant. All that user-friendly power is easily applied to your music production workflow. And the ARA2 is literally like plugins on steroids. It's just a fantastic program that opens a giant window in the DAW for these different programs to work together. And I think it's probably safe to say that ARA integration with regard to spectral layers and the Steinberg DAW family is probably the most cutting edge ARA integration that you can get. It's like the benchmark. It's the gold standard of ARA integration. Okay, quick look at the comments. Happy holidays to you too, David. Right. Yeah, my ASMR voice. Well, you know, my voice is my voice. That's just the way I sound. Today we're going to be looking at 5 essential processes. That's the name of the presentation, 5 essential processes. And so we have 1, attenuation of intrusive sounds, 2, field recording cleanup and remixing, 3, dealing with plosives, 4, reverb attenuation, and 5, ambient match. At least 2 of these, the first 2, these are going to focus pretty heavily after a while on the unmixed components operation in spectral layers, which is, in a way, unmixed components is kind of going to be one of the highlights for today. All right, excuse me for just one moment here while I have a drink. And so let's begin. I'm going to begin by popping open Cubase here and listen to this file. I have used this file before in a tutorial, but today we're going to approach the issue differently than what you saw earlier. Okay, one more time. Okay, there's like 4 really intense areas of string squeak here. I recorded this acoustic guitar. This is a Taylor 814 CE that was recorded with a Audio-Technica 4033, kind of a budget mic, just a quick recording. But the string squeaks are a problem. They're a deal breaker. And so let's get busy working on those. So to open a file, a clip, in spectral layers from within the DAW, first we highlight it like this, and then we go to Audio, Extensions, Spectral Layers. Okay, now Spectral Layers opens in the background, and I'm going to increase my screen real estate here so that I can see the works. And right away, straight off the bat, I am going to adjust my screen resolution so that I can see the content very clearly. It's a lot like focusing a camera. You just dial the controls around a little bit until it becomes nice and bright in the look. I'll play it again, and a lot of times people ask me, I get asked often, how can you tell in the spectrum, what you're looking for? And here you can see that the string squeaks they're pretty visible. 4 very distinct squeaks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I'm going to further adjust my screen controls until I can see those squeaks in a more kind of isolated way. Now, this is quite isolated. Here I'm going to transport, or the view, and I'm going to go frequency unit, lock spectrogram to 0, and now I can raise my spectrum and keep the spectrum at 0 dB, but that's actually kind of not what I want. I don't really need that in this case. And so now let's zoom in on those squeaks a little bit, get a good look at them. Yeah, like that. Now look at it. Look, I'll play it again. Now, watch the playhead run over the squeaks. Okay, great. Now, in a previous tutorial where I used this clip, I simply erased them with the eraser tool. Like I have my eraser tool right here, and I just wipe over the top of the squeak, and it's gone. Hear that? Now I'm going to undo it, and I'm going to undo all of my actions and bring everything back. And now it's back again. So that was the original tutorial. You can wipe these string squeaks out with an eraser tool, but I'm going to show you a couple of different ways that we can deal with sounds like this. And remember, these are string squeaks, but these could really be any sound that has a really high amplitude and a really short duration that you want to get rid of. So when you see demos like this, try to extrapolate or generalize out to, different situations. Ask yourself, how could I use this? And so again, I'm scrolling a little bit to zoom in on the sounds. And London's here. Hey. Hello. Mike Pierce. Good to see you. Now, the string squeaks they're very loud and they're very short. And they have, they have a distinct shape. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab this tool, and this is the Magic Wand tool. Now, when I hover the Magic Wand tool over the squeak, and again, let's zoom in. This time, let's zoom in really close. And over here, I'm scrolling on the edge. Good. Now, finally, after all this scrolling, the string squeak is the loudest parts of it are really highlighted now. And I have the Magic Wand tool. I have to go up here to make sure that I have Add to Selection selected. And now I can make non-contiguous selections in the graph like this. And I'm targeting only the parts of the string squeak that have the highest amplitude. These are extremely loud, extremely quick sounds, but they do so much damage. They're really small, but their impact is really super intense. Now here you can see this is the part where the finger pops off the string, and this is the part where it slides up the neck. And I can grab both of those and select them. Okay, now with this selection selected, we can listen to it. Now that's the squeak in isolation. And this is something we really didn't do in the last tutorial because we just took the eraser tool and we, annihilated it. We just got rid of it. But today, with the using the Magic Wand tool, we can analyze it and we can see what's happening. And so, yeah. Now, as I'm making my selection, I might want to save it so that it doesn't get away on me in case it accidentally disappears or I deselect it accidentally. I can go to Select and go Save Selection, and I can name this Squeaks. Okay, I've named it. Okay, now say if I were to accidentally deselect and now it's gone, to get it back, all I have to do is go Select, Load Selection, Squeaks, and hit OK, and the selection comes back. Okay, now that I'm finished with the first one, I can go over here to the second one. And again, I'm just zooming and scrolling. And now I'm taking the Magic Wand tool again and going over it and adding to that selection. And again, the way I have my screen contrast control set, I'm only focusing on the loudest parts of the squeak. And the cool thing here is that this is the most non-invasive way to work with the audio. Now, I totally understand that you want to get things done and you want to do it fast. But if you're looking at, I don't particularly care for that one, but that's okay. If you're really interested in preserving the integrity of your material and you get really good with these tools, then this is not, it's not really as slow as you might think. I'm going extra slow and being very deliberate so that you can see exactly what's happening. But after you get your chops up using this program, you can sort of like just go in there and burn through it and, get stuff like this done in just a really, really short amount of time. And now here we are at the last one. And so the last one, this is an interesting shape. And so the Magic Wand tool, look how it goes in there and just grabs only the highest amplitude. Well, basically, you can select what you see. And I have everything set up so that only the sounds with the highest amplitude are getting through. And okay, let's Zoom all the way out and all the way down. And look, look how small that is. You can see the extent of my selection. And I'm going to go here to save right away. I'll go save. Save as if I type squeaks in again, it'll save right over the top. It doesn't even prompt me to save over it. It just saves over it. And so now I have that. Now let's listen to the entire selection. Okay, those are the squeaks. And let's go to the comments section for a minute. Yeah. Yeah, okay. This guy comes up with 2 points. And when I say this guy, I mean that's the person's name, this guy. This guy came up with 2 interesting things. One, sounds like a lovely songbird in isolation. Okay, then save it to a new layer and use it in your next project. That's sound design. I do this stuff all the time. Take sounds out of nature, take sounds out of other instruments, harmonics, and things like that. Right. I mean, it sounds like something that you could use for another purpose. And so that's a really good insight. And then this guy goes on to say, wasn't aware of this way of selecting. Yeah, well, now you are. And I'm really, really happy to give you the opportunity to see this happen on this lovely Thanksgiving weekend, Saturday morning. And so let's listen to that selection again. All right. Those are the string squeaks. Now, what can we do with these? Let's put them on their own independent layer. So I'm going to go to Edit, Cut Special, and Cut to New Layer. Okay, now you can see that the squeaks have shown up on their own layer in green. And if I solo that, you can see there they are. Now, if I mute the squeaks, you get the resulting de-squeaked, let's say de-squeaked. You get the de-squeaked file. Again. Okay, and now here's the original. Okay, that's a really good salvage job. And if you want to talk about digital artifacts, well, these squeaks go by, they're so fast, and the frequency range is so narrow that when you pull them out, you get basically what I would dare say is artifact-free performance, virtually artifact-free. You'd have to listen really close to hear anything. Now, but did we miss anything? If I mute this, you can see that there's still some little bits here, little bits of squeak. And what do those look like? Yeah, there's little like fragments in there. And again, I could, if I want to, I can, go back with my magic wand tool and choose those like so. And again, you could do this globally or with the rectangular selection tool and cut a bigger swath. But today, we are forsaking speed in the name of precision. What we want is absolute precision, and I'm trying to show you spectral layers being as precise and as meticulous as possible. And thanks for bearing with me. I understand it takes a little extra time, but that's the point of these live streams, is to be to do the deep dive. And what else do we got? Maybe a little something over here, and over here. Okay, now this selection, you might have a difficult time hearing this over YouTube. Let's see. Nope, you can hear it, especially the first one. So now what can we do with these? Well, we're going to drop them right into that the layer that already has squeaks in it. And I go here to make sure my squeaker layer is active. And I'm going to go cut to layer below, edit, cut. Cut to layer below. And now those, look, they turn green. And that means that they're now on the squeaker layer. Okay. So let's zoom all the way out and all the way down. And this is the result of our work. Let's listen to the whole thing with no squeaking. Let's go to David's questions. Can you preview muting them without adding them to another layer? Let me think about that for a second. Yes, I would just delete them and then listen to it, and then to go back, just undo the delete, do a Command Z, and bring them all back again. And you could do it that way. Yeah, delete them, listen to the result, and then do a Command Z and bring them back. And always remember to save your selections too, because you never know when you're going to go back to them. So now the final step here in this part of the squeaker thing is, what are we going to do with these squeaks? Now watch this. Say, for example, I didn't want to completely kill them. Like right now, they're gone. They're dead. But what if I just wanted to attenuate them, bring them down? There are a couple of different ways to do this. I can actually highlight the squeaker layer and select all and attenuate them directly in spectral layers. Or I could simply take the squeaks and drag them into the DAW timeline. And now here they exist as they exist on their own separate channel. I have to remember not to say layer. They exist on their own separate channel in Cubase. Listen. Okay, those are the squeaks. I have to go back to spectral layers and make sure that the squeaks are muted over here. Mute, unmute, mute, unmute. Okay, that cleaned up really nice. And here they are together, both again. Okay, now that I have these squeaks isolated, say, for example, I don't want to completely kill them. Let's try attenuating them by 12 dB on the channel. So we'll go down to -12, and let's see what that sounds like. Okay, so now those squeaks are still there. They're recontextualized at a much lower level. Let's try -18 dB and see what happens. Right, there's not much difference between that and having them muted. And again, -12. Okay. Okay, now if you notice, up here in the pool, we'll go to the media pool, the squeaks have been rendered out onto the Cubase timeline, and an actual audio file has been generated in the pool. And so that's there. And, you know, there are other things you could do to these squeaks too. Now that you have them in their own channel, you could put insert effects and signal and effects processing on them. You could, you know, add compression. You could EQ them. You could even put reverb on them and make them sound more like birds, literally, you know, flying out the inside of your guitar. But the point is that we have control, okay? And this level of control may not be something that you use every single day, But when this level of control is necessary, when you need this level of control, it's there for you. And it's there for you to exploit, and it's easy to do. And it's fun, too. Okay, to the comments. This is rather neat. It is. David Renfro says, now you can EQ them, remove the highs. Sure, you can do anything you want. They exist on their own independent audio file, and they can be effected. They can be insert effected. They can be bus effected. Incidentally, even though this original file here is still tethered to spectral layers, it's still connected to spectral layers, you can operate on this channel using inserts and buses just as if it were a standalone audio clip. And so that's great. Okay, that's it for this part. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this squeaker track, get rid of it. And I'm going to watch this now. I'm going to disengage the audio clip from spectral layers. So I, click it, highlight it, and go up to audio and choose extensions, remove extension. Now look, when I remove the extension, we go right back to where we started. With the squeaky file. And if I save the project and leave Cubase and come back later, if I don't release the extension, spectral layers, of course, saves with the project, and it's all good. And it's very stable, very stable. Perfect for voices. It is. It's perfect for a lot of things. It's perfect for a lot of things. Voices have squeaks in them in the 2K range, 3K range, just like guitars do. And we use de-essers and stuff. People actually use de-essers on acoustic guitars. People use de-essers to get rid of string squeaks. And let me, how using a de-esser is. It's dicey, Some de-essers work really good. All of them are labor intensive. De-essing is unless you're doing the same kind of de-essing every day, de-essing is always a unique thing. It always has its own characteristics to it, its own print, its own sound print that you have to work on. And so, the amount of time that you spend on a de-esser, why not just spend it in spectral layers and knocking those things out to a new layer and getting it done that way. De-essers can create anomalies just like digital artifacts. They sound different, but it creates smear and inaccuracies and things like that. And spectral layers might be able to do it for you in a way that's better. Cubase Forever, Real World 2000 is in the room. Okay, now I'm going to address this string squeak file one more way, and this isn't going to take as long, so bear with. Audio, extensions, spectral layers. And now we're back, and I'm going to refine my view, and now this time we're going to reprocess this in a slightly different way. No, not slightly different, radically different. I'm going to take a drink first. Hold on. Okay, this time I'm going to go straight to unmixed components. So we go Layer, Unmixed Components. Click. Now here we have an option called Reconstruct Hidden Noise. What's going to happen here is that spectral layers is going to deconstruct this sound into 3 different parts. And say, for example, you have a part that is surrounded by noise. If I click Reconstruct Hidden Noise, then it's going to create new noise to fill the hole in sort of like interpolation to create a smoother noise in the background. And I'm going to demonstrate this feature to you later. But for now, I'm going to leave this unchecked because we don't need to reconstruct hidden noise. And so I'm going to click OK and do the process. Okay, now let's see what we've come up with. Here we have the tonal layer. And the tonal layer has lots of squeaks in it. And here we have the transient layer. And the transient layer has like a pretty amazing amount of squeaks in it. And here we have the noise layer. Which is kind of strange in this case. And so in the transient layer, these string squeaks are fairly, they're pretty isolated in here in this transient layer. So if I wanted to isolate the squeaks on the transient layer, but like listen to these first three vertical bars in the spectrum. Okay, there's no squeaks there. And so what I want to do is I want to take those out of this layer so that the squeaks are isolated in the transient layer. And so what I'm going to do is, watch this now. I'm over here on the right where I have the transient layer soloed, and I'm going to select it and I'm going to drag it up so that it's over the top of the tonal layer. So now we have the transient layer on top and the tonal layer on the bottom. Okay, then I'm going to grab the rectangular selection tool and I'm going to select things. That's not what I wanted to do. Actually, I'm going to grab the time range selection tool. And I want to select things that are not squeaks. And so watch this. I'm going to select this and this and this. And I'm going to I'll pull a little bit of this too. Oh, no, that's a squeak. So what I'm doing is like I'm selecting stuff that's not squeaks. And there's some more stuff down on the bottom so I can grab, watch. I'm going to grab the rectangular selection tool and now I'm going to cut across there. And basically, look what I'm doing. I'm just basically, I'm boxing these squeaks in. So now we have the squeaks. You can see where they are. It's clear. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag them, or I'm going to drop them down into the tonal layer. Now watch, I have both layers soloed, and I have the transient layer selected because that's our source layer. Now the selection is everything but the squeaks. And now watch, I'm going to go cut special, cut to layer below. And now, look, the transient layer has the squeaks. And the tonal layer has the all that material in there that's not squeaks. Okay, so then, finishing this off is easy. I can grab the tonal layer and drag it up over the top of the transient layer. And then, with the tonal layer selected, this time I'm just going to go in there with the rectangular selection tool and, grab some of these squeaks like this. And simply, cut special, cut to layer below. Now they're dropped into the transient layer. And the transient layer has even more squeaks in it now. And so now to finish things off, keep in mind, it's really important to keep in mind that if I play all three of these back at once, like this, okay, it sounds exactly the same as the source. 0 digital artifacts. And why is that? Because we didn't erase anything. And when you erase things, that's when you start getting digital artifacts and anomalies. When you erase things or when you change the amplitude of different layers and stuff like that, that's when the artifacts come creeping in, because, you get comb filtering around the holes where the stuff has been deleted. But here, 100% sample accurate playback. And so, I could drag all three of these new layers into the DAW timeline and attenuate the transients that way. Just so you know that it's great. Let's listen to it one more time. This time I'll just solo the noise and the tonal layer and keep the transients muted. And I'll back up my cursor here. Yeah. That's, if you combine the eraser tool, which is how I approached this in the first tutorial, and I think that might have been before some of these features that I use today, like cut to layer below. I don't think that was available when I did the first tutorial. But now with these new features, there's three ways. You can erase them with the eraser tool. But remember now, when you erase that stuff, you'll never get it back. But if you move it from layer to layer, it's always there for you, to have and manipulate, basically to adjust the relative levels in such a manner that you avoid digital artifacts, because that's, with spectral editing, that's the grail right there. You want to avoid those artifacts. And so that's going to be about it for this portion. And that was the string squeak. Next, we're going to work on an environmental soundstage, a location recording. But first, let's look at the comments, and everybody take a drink and wish each other a happy Thanksgiving. And I'm going to look at the comments and see what's happening over here for a minute. Transient detection is super cool. Yes, it is. And just so you know that we... see, how can I show you this? Watch. There is actually a... I'm looking for the right... Hold on. Yeah. There's actually a tool in the toolbar here. There's a transient detection tool where it will actually search. See, now look, these are transients. They're not very hard transients, but when you hover the tool over the tops of these transients, you can select transients that way. Watch. Here I'm just kind of using the tool to go and select transients. It seeks them out. Look at it. Watch this. This is cool. Now, if you have a transient that cuts through other stuff, like say here, for example, it's going to find the signals between the, like say, for example, you have a transient that's made up of harmonics. It's going to try to find the harmonics in there and leave out the stuff in between. So it's a super precise way of making a selection. Happy Thanksgiving. Avan asks, is it possible to select and edit the audio exclusively on the left and right? Yes, it is. Up here in the channels panel, I can turn channels on and off. So if I just want to work on the left channel, here I have my rectangular selection tool, and I'm selecting on the left only. Now you can see it's setting up kind of a ghost image over here on the right, but it's not being selected. So say I want to cut two big holes in here, hit the delete key and deselect. There, now I've created holes in the selection, and the right has not been touched. If I want to go down and work on the right, I can grab the rectangular selection tool, and now you can see it's selecting on the right but not on the left. Hit the delete key, Command D to deselect, and now I'm selecting only on the right, but make sure to go back and have them both selected again so that you get your stereo response back, if because that's usually the way I work. But yeah, you can. And also note that you can cut and copy material from channel to channel, and I think that's a new feature in SpectraLayers Pro 8. Copy channel to channel copy and paste functionality. So you can actually move stuff around between channels. Okay, more comments? Right. When you record a vocal, only one layer shows up. You are probably recording in mono, then activate your selection. It'll bring in a mono track. It works with mono files and stereo files. When you're working with a whole bunch of different clips, mono and stereo in spectral layers, it keeps mono and stereo clips separate and on their own separate tabs. And there is definitely some material out there in one of the other live streams that shows how spectral layers deals with stereo material and mono material when you try to put the two together in spectral layers. All right. Okay, let's move on to the next project. I'm going to close out of this one. Now, when I go to close, it asks me if I want to save the project, and I'll click Don't Save. Now watch. You have created new files since the last time you saved the project. These were the files that I created when I dragged layers from spectral layers into the DAW timeline. And those, like you can generate new audio files in the pool directly from spectral layers. And nope, I do not want to save these. And so now we can go to the next project. And this one's not going to take as long. This the string squeak one was sort of the longest project of the of today's presentation. And hope you enjoyed that. And now we're going to open up this one. Now here we have something a little bit different. This is an environmental soundscape, a location recording, and I've also used this content in another tutorial, but that was before Unmixed Components, I think, was even released. And so I used a whole bunch of different processes to remix this file, but never used Unmixed Components. And today we're gonna remix this content using Unmixed Components exclusively, almost exclusively. It'll be Unmixed Components to start, followed by using the tools. And that's always how it works. First you do the artificial intelligence assisted processes, Unmixed Components, Unmixed Stems. And then after you get your stems, then you start moving stuff from layer to layer, okay? And this is where spectral layers breaks away from the pack. And this is where spectral layers becomes the best. Now, I haven't done an A-B comparison between every single program out there that unmixes stems. I'm sure, there are a lot of good ones. And I'm also sure that, and, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that it's probably correct to say that when you unmix stems in a program, no matter what program that you use, the results are going to be like more similar than they are different. Okay? There's not going to be like one that completely blows the other one out of the water as far as, the quality of the stem, dissection process or the splitting of the stems. They all do a nice job. Spectral Layers does a great job. But the thing is, and just like I showed you with the string squeak, after you do the unmixing, then you move stuff from layer to layer and you perfect it. And so artificial intelligence does the heavy lifting. And then after that, you go in there and you use the precision tools to refine everything. And after you get your refinement perfect, that's when you drag the layers up into the timeline and start doing your remix, with your signal and effects processing and, your level balancing and stuff. Okay, let's listen to this. Okay, nice long soundscape. And it's interesting when one of our One of our participants here today said that the guitar string squeaks sound like birds chirping. It reminded me of this file right away because, listen, you can hear birds chirping in there. Especially right there. You know, and the birds chirping in here are going to show up in the transient layer of an unmixed components process. And they're going to sound a lot like the acoustic guitar string squeaks. And okay, now I'm going to select this, and I'm going to bring it into spectral layers by going to the audio menu and selecting extensions and spectral layers. Okay, now straight away, we're going to get right to the process of unmixed components. And so here we go. Now, reconstruct hidden noise. Yes, I'm going to reconstruct hidden noise. And I'll show you why after we do it. But look, listen to this boat horn. Okay, now that boat horn is going to be extracted into the tonal layer. And when it does, it leaves a hole in the noise. However, if I choose reconstruct hidden noise, it's going to interpolate the noise, and it's going to fill the holes where that boat horn is. It's going to fill those with noise from the adjacent area, and it works really well. Okay, so with reconstruct hidden noise selected, I click OK. And this is a long file. And here I'm running an iMac, and I have an i7 processor. I'm on Big Sur. And you can see that this has taken about, I don't know, maybe 20 seconds. And here we are. Now, let's listen to the results. First of all, we'll make things, big things up here and get right down to it. And so I'm going to increase my screen resolution like this. And let's see here. We're close. Close to what we want. These screen resolution controls are excellent. Okay, so here's the tonal layer. Let's start from the very top. Okay, we got the boat. And then a bunch of chatter. More chatter. Now look at the airplane. Now in spectral layers, higher frequencies are on the vertical scale. And so you can see as you get that, what did they call it? A Doppler effect when it goes by and the pitch goes down. Look, you can see the pitch kind of descending down into the sub 200 hertz range when that plane goes by overhead. Watch. There we go. Some more birds chirping. It's, they look like birds even. Here, you can see the birds, and there they are. And so this program, I don't know, it's so amazing. So I'm going to go back to the start, and now here's the transient layer. Now, check this out. This is the transient coming off of the boat horn. And look, watch how it blends with the tonal layer. Watch. See? It's part of it. And then you've got other stuff. And then you've got birds. The birds are showing up in the transient layer. Kevin, thanks for the compliment. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Great. And finally here, we'll get down to the noise layer. Now check out the noise layer. You can see when I solo it, look, there's no holes where the boat horn is. Everything's filled in with a real nice interpolated noise field. Yeah. Yeah. You know, one thing that I'm impressed with here is that this noise sound, I think out of all of the sounds, this would be the layer where you would get sort of like that underwater kind of warbly artifact sound. But you don't, there's really not a lot of that here. It's smooth. It's really smooth. Okay, so what can we do with this now that we have it separated out? First of all, let's go back to the tonal layer like this. And let's make up our minds that we want this layer to be pretty much nothing but the boat sound, the airplane sound, and the low, the low rumble, which we're going to deal with in a special way later. And so all of these other things here, these birds chirping and things like this, if I select them, like say I make a selection using the rectangular selection tool, if I hit the spacebar, I can hear that selection like this. Okay, sounds obviously it's bird sounds, and same thing here too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the let's see, which tool should I use? I'm going to do a Command D and deselect the selection, and then I'm just going to cut a giant box like this and grab all of these birds. And now, importantly, I have to make sure that my tonal layer is selected because this is the layer that I'm operating on, and this always messes me up. But today, I must be getting better at this because I caught myself. And so here's the rectangular selection tool in action again. And basically, I'm just making a big selection of everything that is not the boat, and it's not that low hum, and it's not the plane. And so we have a selection, a giant selection that looks like this. And I make sure that I've got it all. Isn't that great how you can select that and do non-contiguous selections in the spectral graph? If I want to bring this out a little bit this way, no problem. Easily done. Now, as you might guess what I'm going to do next based on the last little tutorial I gave you, tonal layer selected, transient layer underneath. I'm going to solo them both. Okay, now watch. I'm going to go Edit, Cut Special, Cut to Layer Below. Now watch when I do that. It didn't work. Hold on. I must have something wrong. Let's try again. So here the tonal layer is selected and soloed. And now I want to drop this stuff from the tonal layer to the layer below, the transient layer. Cut Special, Cut to Layer Below. And there, it did it. I don't know what I did last time. But now, let's look at the transient layer now. Well, no, first let's look at the tonal layer because we've just emptied a whole bunch of stuff out of it. Listen. Yep, there's the plane. And Kevin asked me if I could repeat something. Sure, no problem. Let's Command Z our way back to the selection. Okay, I made the selection. Now, this selection, if I hit the space bar, I play the selection, and this selection is on the tonal layer. See? You can hear it. And if I'm happy with my selection, I have my tonal layer selected, and I want to cut this to the layer below, the transient layer. I'm going to solo that layer. I think maybe it didn't work the last time I tried it because I had the transient layer muted, but with both layers active, go to Edit, Cut Special, cut to layer below, and there. Now see all the stuff that was in the tonal layer, that was in purple, that stuff turned yellow, and now it lives on the transient layer. Now let's listen to the transient layer. Okay, that's great. In the transient layer, you can see that the transient from the boat horn, it still lives in this layer. But I actually want this to be in the tonal layer. So now I'm just going to do kind of like an inversion of the process that I just showed you. I'm going to take the transient layer and drag it up, and now the transient layer is the top layer. And you can see the transient of the boat horn. I want to integrate that transient down into the tonal layer. So easily done. You have to make sure that your target or your source layer is selected. The source layer is a transient layer, and so that's the hot layer. I'm selecting it. Then here I'm just going to go to the time range selection tool, and I'm going to grab that transient. Now watch. It's yellow now, but if I go cut to new layer, cut special, or cut to layer below, boom. Now see, you can see it fill up. It filled up the harmonics between the board. Watch, I'll Command Z back. Now I undid it. Now watch, see? Let's zoom in on that. Now watch this. The transient has information in it that actually kind of lies between the harmonics. And look, now that I'm zoomed out, I can see that my selection is really wide. And so I could just go Command D and deselect that. Whoops. Whoa. Oh boy. Be right back. And so what I wanted to show you was I can make a time range selection tool here and select the transient. Now I can adjust the size of this selection by choosing the transform selection tool. When I choose that tool, you can see that I have little anchors here on the edges, and so I can make it better, make the selection more accurate, make it just right. And so again, I'll zoom all the way out, all the way down, and you can see I've got that transient selected. There are a couple of other transients in here. I can grab these with the rectangular selection tool, and basically anything I want to remove from the transient layer and put back into the tonal layer, all I have to do is select it. This is my big chance, okay? Because I want to have all this work done perfectly before I drag these layers onto the Cubase timeline, because I'm sure, you can go back, I suppose, and do it over again, but you don't want to. You want to get it right the first time. Okay, so now transient layer on top, tonal layer beneath it, and you can see I have a bunch of stuff in the transient layer selected that I want to see deposited, dropped down onto the tonal layer. And that's what we're going to do right now. And so edit, cut special, cut to layer below, and now that stuff lives in the tonal layer. And my transient layer is, both layers are clean. And again, I play the whole thing together, 0 audio artifacts. It's extremely important that you internalize this, that there are no artifacts. This is sample accurate playback because we haven't added any material to it and we haven't subtracted any material to it. That was a little bit inaccurate. We added a little bit of noise to fill the holes in the noise layer when we chose the reconstruct hidden noise option, but that is not going to create artifacts. Okay, let's move to the comments for a moment. Good. Kevin loves it. Okay. Shambahavi has a concern about different versions of Cubase, different versions of spectral layers. You have to be you have to look at the comparison charts and look at the comparison charts very carefully to figure out, which features are in the different versions of spectral layers. You want to make sure that you're not trying to do something that's unavailable in your version. And so, yeah, if you have questions about, will this version of spectral layers do this or that, go to the Steinberg website and look at the comparison chart to find out the differences between programs. Hey, thanks, DJ. Thanks for the compliment. All right, here we are. And we have all three of our layers: tonal, transient, and noise. And now we're ready to take these and... No, we're not ready. We have one more thing to do. Watch this. Check this out. This is important. So now I'm going to solo the tonal layer. All right. Now, notice that the boat horn is nice and loud, and it's nice and clear. But this muddy, really harsh, low-frequency buildup, that's annoying, and we want to deal with that. And so I'm going to go to the View menu and select Frequency Unit, lock spectrogram to 0. Now, when I scroll up on the side, I can see that low-frequency information there, and it's a problem. So I'm going to select the Frequency Range Selection tool, and I'm going to grab everything below. See this line right here? This looks like the first fundamental of the boat horn. Let's check it out and see. So I'm going to grab the rectangular selection tool, and I'm just going to grab this and listen to it and see what it is. Is that a tone? Yep. That's the lowest of the low tones. And so we want to stay away from that. And I'm going to grab the frequency range selection tool. And you can see here, I have a feathering option here. And the feathering option is very interesting. Watch now, with a frequency fade of 0 hertz, the selection is intense. It's 100% selected all the way up to the edge. But now watch. If I build in a fade, like say I build in 150 hertz fade, now you can see that it fades out on the beginnings, and on the high frequencies and the low frequencies, they're faded in and out. It creates kind of a less choppy selection, a way less choppy selection. So I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to go for just a really small fade. Just 7 hertz is enough. And now I'm going to grab everything below that first fundamental. Okay. And there's my rumble. That's a lot of rumble. Okay. And now I'm going to do something with this. I'm going to move this low-end stuff over to a new layer. And I'm going to do that by going Cut Special, Cut to New Layer. Active layer is not visible. So I have to make the active layer, the tonal layer, make that active. And then again, Cut Special, Cut to New Layer. Now I have my low end, and I'm going to rename this. Let's say I'm going to rename this to, I'll rename it to Sub, S-U-B. So I rename that, and let's solo that. This is the subsonic stuff, like from 40 hertz up to about 100 hertz. And so now this is on a layer all by itself, which is cool. And the tonal layer, It's now completely clean. Watch, I'll blend the sub back in. Okay. So now we have 4 layers: transient, tonal, the subsonic layer, and the noise layer. Now let's drag them up into the Cubase timeline. And easily done. If I can find my drag bar here. I'm going to drag this down, make some space. Okay, now I'm going to take all of these layers and watch. I'm going to throw them all up here one by one. They're going to come up. One. And here comes the tonal layer. And here comes the sub layer. And here comes the noise layer. Okay, now say we're in a post-production environment. Now I have my environment sound or whatever my location sound completely sorted out, and I can mix it any way I want. Now watch this. I am going to disengage spectral layers from the environment. This is the original. I really don't need it anymore, and so I'm just going to remove it. It's gone. Now I have, when I go to the pool and open the pool, you can see I have noise, sub, tonal, and transient. They all live now on their own independent layers. And it sounds sample accurate. It sounds exactly the same as the original source. So perfect. And now I can start remixing it. The first thing I want to do is bring the sub down. So I'm going to bring the sub down by 12 dB and see what happens. There, way better. Wow. That sub at 12 dB, that's like, watch, I'm going to go back to 0 dB with the sub. Listen. So intense. Minus 12. That's a lot better, isn't it? Okay, now one last thing before we move on. I'm going to go over here to the tonal layer. And let's just drop an insert effect on there. And reverb. This new Tai Chi reverb, this is a cool thing. Reverb Foundry Tai Chi. They actually have a preset in here called Outdoor. And so here's the outdoor reverb, and I'm going to put it at about, I don't know, a little bit less than 50%. Crank up the reverb time, and let's check it out now. It's on the tonal layer only. So I'm going to solo that. There we go. Whoa, see? When I hit the space bar, it stops, but you can hear the reverb go. Isn't that a great reverb, the Tai Chi? It's really nice. Check it out. Stop. Cool. Okay, here we go. The plane should sound funny with the reverb on it. The plane. Yep. Now, all together one more time. Cool. That was excellent. If you want to hear what the original sounds like, just ask. Open the pool, bring in the environment sound, we'll drag it in, and solo it. Here's the original. And here's the post-processed. Nice, huh? There's a huge improvement. And again, I've used this clip before, but not with unmixed components. Unmixed components actually really speeded up the process on this. And it goes back to what the guy from Sound on Sound said. He said it increases accessibility and efficiency. Efficiency is what I say. You do the artificial intelligence assisted processes, and then get in there with the fine tuning tools and fine tune your stuff until it's perfect. All right. So let's go to the next project. This one's not going to take long at all. These first two projects I showed you, the guitar squeak in this environment, these were like the two most intense ones. The rest is a piece of cake. And don't save. Now it says you have created new files. I'm going to delete these. These are the files that were created directly from within Spectre Layers. And now we're back, and I'm going to open up this next one here. And number 3, we're going to deal with some plosives, and we're just going to deal with this really, really quickly. And again, this is a tutorial file, a work file that I've used in the past, but we're going to revisit it, and we're going to take a look at the limiter tool on the eraser tool in Spectre Layers Pro 8. Whoops, this is not the right project. Forgive me. Close. Open. I did the wrong thing. I wasn't paying attention. Pay attention, Mike. Again, yeah, my name is Mike, and here I am in Wisconsin. Beautiful November day. And Thanksgiving weekend. Really glad to be here. Thanks for showing up. And here's a file that I made that has some plosives in it. Plosive speech sounds. The basic plosives in English are T, K, and P, D, G, and B. All right. So let's listen to the first two plosives. Plosive speech sounds. Okay, plosive and speech. So there's two there. Those are the only two that we're going to work on. And interestingly, I've never really showed this before, but as you might imagine, if you split a clip like this using the split tool and click on it and then open that in Spectre Layers, it just opens up the clip. I mean, that's what you'd expect, right? But it's really great to remember that if you have a really, really, really short part of a really long audio file, you don't have to open the whole thing in there. Just use your scissors tool and make a clip, and then go in there, and we're going to quickly, like today, we are working quickly. So I'm going to focus and take a look at these plosives. There should be two really strong ones. Plosive speech sound. Okay, there's two of them. And you can see they're already, kind of spread out really nice because our clip is so short. If our clip was really long, if I did the whole clip, then I would have to zoom in. And but here, the clip is so short that the plosives immediately come bouncing up to our attention, and we can get to work right on them. And so I'm going to lock my spectrogram down to 0 and bring this up. Plosive speed. Okay, so now here you can see the plosive content. It's way subsonic. It's below 100 hertz. It's all the way down at even, like, let's look at it even tighter. Here at, let's see, I'm going to get my focus. I'm going to try to focus it a little bit differently. Look at that. So at the bottom of the spectrum is 0 hertz, and here we have 60 hertz, and here we have 80 hertz, and so we have plosive action in there. Now, in previous versions of spectral layers, you could take a sound like this. It could be a plosive, it could be any sound, and you want to attenuate it. And you take the eraser tool and you start drawing over it, and you start drawing over it, and drawing over it, and drawing over it, until it's gone. And if you want to, you can erase all the way down to silence. And if we did that with this plosive, that would be a little bit overkill. And so, yeah, we keep, you can just keep working it with the eraser tool, and every time you click and then click again and draw over the same spot, you go down to silence. Plosives. Look at that now. Let's see this. You can see we've taken out way too much low end. Plosive speech sound. Plosive speech sound. Not so cool, right? Okay, I'm going to disengage spectral layers, and I'm going to come right back with the same clip, and I'm going to show you this tool that you can append to the eraser tool. It's a limiter. It's really great. It's great stuff. Here we go. And there we are, again, with our selection. Firm it up a little bit. Grow it. And get it right in our field of view. Okay, now, a little bit more adjustment here. That's good enough. Now I'm going to take the eraser tool, and I'm going to flip this switch right here. I'm going to click the limit switch. So I click the limit switch, and I have the limit at minus 24 dB, but I'm going to make it, well, watch. If I go to 0, like if I put the limit at 0 and I start erasing, look, nothing happens. It's not going to erase anything because the limiter's at 0. And so here I am clicking and dragging over the plosive, and nothing's happening. Now I'm going to go minus 30. So I got down to minus 30. Now watch. When I drag over the plosive, it starts getting smaller. It starts going away. And it continues, to get softer and softer. However, once it hits that minus 30 dB limit, I can go no further. And so I'm clicking and dragging over the plosive right now, but nothing's happening because I've erased it as far as the eraser tool is going to let me go. And look, you can see, look how, and by the way, these plosives, none of these are clipped. There are no clipped peaks in this. I recorded this myself, and I made sure that those plosives came in super clean. It's just like with a photograph. If you have too much exposure, you blow the pixel and it becomes white. And then when you try to tone it down, all you get is a grayscale. There's no color there. And so that's why clipping an audio on the spectrum, it's the equivalent of blowing a pixel on a digital photograph. So look, this plosive here, you can see how much brighter it is than the surrounding area. And so by taking my eraser tool with a 24 dB limit, then when I hit that limit, the color of the surrounding material matches the brightness. It matches the brightness of the surrounding area. Let's just take one more dB. So if I take one more little dB, can you tell the difference? Now watch when I drag over. Does it get a little bit dimmer? I can hardly tell. Okay, so now that we're finished with that, I'm going to zoom out and back down. And let's see Let's see what we have. Plosive speech sound. Plosive speech sound. Plosive speech sounds. Okay. So again, at I think I liked 24. So this plosive over here, I'm going to go at 24 and just work it until it's been attenuated. Plosive speech sounds, right? Plosive speech sounds. Great. And so this is the limiter tool on the eraser tool, which really helps you from getting out of control and erasing something too hard. And well, it's really handy, as you can see. And that's it for this one. This was a short one. To the comments. Monitor level control in the GUI. Yeah, I think I remember a time when Spectral Layers actually used to have one. I'm not really sure what happened to it. I'll have to talk to the developer about that. There have been instances when I've wished for that myself. I would say to myself, boy, right now I could really use an independent gain control inside of this thing. Usually I find a way to work around it, but I can't help but agree with you. I think that it's a good idea. So, Mixed Phantom, thanks for the tip. I'm glad that thought has occurred to me as well. I've thought the same thing. So yeah, thanks. On to the next thing. So we did the environment, we did the plosives, and now we have reverb removal. And for reverb removal, we're going to go over to Spectral Layer Standalone. Close. Don't save. Okay, now we are in Spectral Layer Standalone, and listen to this blues piano. This is a dry piano track. Okay, and this is the same piano track, but it's got some reverb mixed into it. Okay, and so what we're going to do is we'll use reverb removal on this track to try to dry that piano out a little bit so that it sounds like the one on the top layer here. So easily done. Process, reverb reduction, and no writable layer. Make this layer active. Process, reverb reduction, and now reverb reduction has had an AI algorithm component built into it. And so reverb reduction is now improved from previous versions. So let's go all the way up to maximum sensitivity and maximum reduction ratio. So we're just going to max it out and then preview it. Okay, the maximum sensitivity and the maximum reduction ratio is probably too much, right? You can hear artifacts, and I mean that's what happens when you max out, any process like this. You're gonna get that, and so we need to back down on the sensitivity and the reduction ratio. We need to back away a little bit, and find a better set of parameters. But in the meantime, if I want to, I can audition the just what's being removed from the file. Hit preview. This is what's being taken out. Yeah. So it's really easy to see that maxed out is inappropriate. It's not the right setting for this. So let's go to a sensitivity of 1.0 and still a reduction ratio of 100%. Preview. A little bit better, a little bit better. Let's audition the just the reverb that's being removed. And Mix Phantom, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, it's interesting. You made me think about that. It's like, yeah, I remember there used to be a controller for that, but yeah, we'll talk about that again later. Let's just preview the reverb that we're going to pull. Yep. Okay. Well, whoops. Cancel. Stop. And back to reduce reverb. So we're getting a little closer. It doesn't sound quite as artifacty as the maxed out. So let's go for a let's keep the sensitivity at 1.0 and go for a reduction ratio of 90%. Not too bad. Reduced signal. This is just the reverb only. Yeah. Okay, that's starting to, as we bring the sensitivity down and as we bring the reduction ratio down, it's starting to shape up. It's starting to show, less artifacts. It's starting to show, more acceptable results. So, by previewing it, bypassing it, keep working on it. Then finally, when you get to what you want, let's go to, let's just bring it down just a little bit more. We'll go down to a sensitivity of 0.8 and a reduction ratio of 85. And then I'm not even going to audition at 84. I'm not going to audition it. I'm just going to hit the process and do it. So now we're doing the process. And here's the result. Yeah, and here's the original. Reduced. And the original. It's a trial and error thing, and it works better on some files than others. It's a challenge. It's a challenge. Reverb reduction is a challenging thing. And so that's it for that. And now we're going to go back to Cubase, and I have one more thing I want to show you, and this is cool. Nope. And so we're going to go back to Cubase and open up a project here. We're going to do an ambience match. And we've been going for a long time. Thanks for hanging out. If you're still here, give me a shout in the comments right now. Say you're still here. Say, still here. I want to see who's still here. And ambience match. Project. There we go. I want to see who's still here. But if you're not here, that's okay. You can come back and watch this video after I index it. And after this presentation is over today, I'm going to take a little rest and then come back down to my studio and do the indexing. And there'll be many index points for you to refer to. Okay, listen to this. I've used this file in a tutorial as well. But this time we're going to do the invert of the inversion. We're going to invert what I did to the last one. Watch.
It's up to you.
That's a little bit loud. I'm going to bring this down a little bit. All right.
It's up to you.
Hey, Jocelyn, still here in Montreal. Here's a dry version of this.
It's up to you.
Okay, so I used this in another tutorial where I took the truck sound out of the vocal sample, and I kind of, it was a really good demonstration. We worked hard at it, and I think I ended up with a vocal sample. I took the vocal sample and I pulled it out of the truck, the background noise, and I think I got it almost to the point where you could use it as an acapella. With a little bit more work, I could have probably got to the point where you could use that as an acapella, maybe. But, it was pretty good. I mean, we did a really good job. But today, what I want to show you is ambience matching, where I'm actually going to take the ambience from the pass-by and put it under the dry file so that both of them sound like it's going through a pass-by. One more time.
It's up to you. It's up to you.
Hey, all right, hey. Thanks to Frank and Tim, Michael, Jocelyn, Kevin, Mix Phantom, and everybody. You guys are hardcore, man, to hang around for this long. You guys are good students. You get bonus points. Like I said, I want to take the drive-by sound and apply that to the dry. And this is, they do this a lot in post-production, ADR, dialogue replacement, and stuff like that. You take an ambient background sound and blend it in uniformly across a track. Now, the first thing I'm going to do, here's the first thing I'm going to do. The first thing I'm going to do is I am going to create a place for the ambient sound to land. And I'm going to do that by adding an audio track. Then I'm going to draw a clip over it. And it doesn't really matter how long it is. I'm just going to make it extend for the entire expanse, the whole works. I can even stretch it out longer if I want to. I can make it as long as I want or as short as I want. But the longer you make it, the more you'll have to work with. Now, next, this is not an audio track yet. It's just like a clip segment. It's not an audio track, and so I want to make it into an audio track. And so I'm going to select it, and I'm going to select Render in Place. Now watch. I'm going to render, and it's going to render a stereo audio track. And watch, if I play this, it's completely empty. There's nothing there. Now, this is the blank slate that we're going to lay in the ambient sound into. I don't need this track anymore, so I'm just going to get rid of it. So now we have a blank audio track, and I'm going to open up my Singin' Pass-By in Spectre Layers by going Audio Extensions, Spectre Layers. And now it comes in.
It's up to you.
And luckily, I have a really intense section here of the truck that's kind of rolling by without any singing on it at all. And that's what I want to select. And so I'm going to use the time range selection tool, and I'm going to select on that. Click my spacebar to listen to it, and I'll listen. Right? Good stuff, right? That's our sound. That's what we want. And now I'm going to go Process, Ambience Match, Register Ambience. What's going to happen is it's going to place this selection into a paste buffer. And see, I clicked through the dialog. It said the ambience, has been registered. So now it's ready to rock in our audio track, which is empty right now. And so I'm going to open this thing up in Spectre Layers like this. And here it is. Now I'm going to mute the Singing Pass-By track, and you can see this is the audio track. It's completely empty. Now I'm going to insert my ambience in it like this. Click right through the dialogue, and now I have it. Pure noise.
It's up to you.
And so now I can sort of mix the track the way I want it. I don't need the whole thing. Let's say, what if we start about here and fade it up slowly? And we should have a good blend right off the bat between the old pass-by and the ambient noise, patch or whatever that I just put in here. Whoops. We need to solo that. Mute solo, mute solo. Okay. Did you ever watch the movie Whiplash? Where the guy goes, rushing or dragging, rushing or dragging. It's like, mute or solo, mute or solo. Okay, here we go.
It's up to you. It's up to you.
Nice. It works great. And you can see in the original here that when I play it, you can hear the pass-by kind of pans from side to side, from left to right. You could actually do that with this noise too. You could pan it using automation in Cubase.
It's up to you.
Perfect blend. And that was quick. That was quick. Let's look at the comments. Ambience match is cool. Tim said we are unlocking the secrets of spectral layers. Let's talk about that for a minute. Spectral layers is not one of those programs where you have like a module where you click a button and it says, okay, denoise or declick or get rid of this guitar string. It's more like a system of things that work together. And every time we add a new thing, the system gets better. And see, that's the difference between spectral layers and other programs that just offer discrete processes, okay? I mean, having those discrete processes is nice, it's convenient, it's fast, but when you really want a system, when you really want precision, spectral layers is the way to go. An example of that is the limiter tool on the eraser tool. I showed you the eraser tool, okay? The eraser tool, cool. It does, it erases, right? I mean, it's like, that's what you would expect it to do. But then when a new version comes along and all of a sudden, boom, here's a limiter tool that you can use on the eraser tool. It just ups the game, for everything. And, the same thing, getting rid of guitar string squeaks. I mean, I can take the same string squeak file and I can use that in multiple tutorials every time we put out a new version because, when we put out a new version, it creates a different way to do it. It creates, possibly a better way to do it. It may create a way to do it that you like more. It may create a way to do it that's faster, that fits your workflow better. And so, just like the tasks that you have to do, they're all a little bit different. They have idiosyncrasies. And, presets, sure. I mean, presets can hit the mark. And when they do, you're like, oh, wow, this thing it worked perfectly in that case. But there are other cases when it's not going to work so good. Your preset's not going to work that good. And, and especially with repair and restore operations, forensic stuff, cleanup stuff, it gets, you really, really want to have the depth of these tools and then the experience, behind you to do this. It's not difficult and it's a lot of fun. It really is fun. And once you get the hang of it, something happens like when you first learn how to play a musical instrument or learn a DAW, it's like you plod away for a while. And then all of a sudden, a light bulb goes off in your head and you're like, oh, you say to yourself, I'm converging on becoming a power user. And Do they people still use that expression, power user? I haven't used it in years, but yeah, the expression comes to mind, power user. You become a really highly experienced user, and then when you see something happen, then or when you have a problem in front of you, and you know what these tools do, you have experience with them. You'll know exactly where to go to get the job done. You'll know which tools to use. It's all about the experience. And I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna run this ambient track one more time for about 3.5 minutes, and then we'll call it a session. And I'll bid you adieu on this Thanksgiving weekend. And this is my little song here that I made. And let's just relax and take a couple of minutes, look at the comments, and sign off. Cubasis number 1. I love Indian classical music. I listen to a little bit of Indian classical music every single day. I have it on a shuffle playlist on my phone, and I always make sure that I have some Indian classical music in there to listen to. And once a day, like, I always have a little bit of raga, and that's really good for your soul. I'm telling you. I'm listening to this person right now, this sitar player. His name is his last name is Parvez. P-A-R-V, V as in Victor, P-A-R-V-E-Z, Parvez. And oh wow, he's just the most fantastic. You can really hear the blues in it. It's like bluesy Appalachian stuff, and not like Ravi Shankar. It's a lot more rough, a lot more pentatonic. But yeah, I love Indian classical. So thanks for that, Tim. You're welcome. Thank you. I'm really glad that you enjoyed this and that you stayed this long. Yes. Okay. You're asking about my lap steel. Okay. Let's talk about that for a minute. There's lap steel all over this thing too. I'm trying to develop this lap steel sound, and right now, I'm using this Eventide pedal, and it's called Rose, R-O-S-E, Eventide Rose, like flower petal, rose petal. And I'm telling you that when I got this rose pedal, and it's just really a sleeper. It's a digital emulation of an analog bucket brigade thing, but it's got like really deep feedback, modulation. It's just got a whole bunch of different stuff on it. But the sound of that steel, not in, like, when you listen to my track with the steel on it, I'm telling you, there's not a lot of additional effects. That stuff was recorded like it sounded like that going in. And it's the Gretsch lap steel going into the Eventide Rose pedal. And then it's going into a 2BQ, in the 2BQ TLA Ivory Series 2BQ. And then from the 2BQ, it's going into a distressor. And then from the distressor, it goes straight to tape. And the mix control on the controls on the Rose pedal are so touchy. Even the tiniest motion changes it significantly. And so they have a little computer program that you can turn the knobs. You can't automate it, but you can dial in the settings that you want using it. And wow, the Rose pedal has really been good for me. So thanks for asking. More comments. High-tech Psytrance, that's cool. Gratis. Rennie, same to you. Ravi Shankar, yeah, rest in peace, Ravi. So we still have Anushka Shankar, though. Hey. I'm just scrolling here through the comments just for one more minute. Okay. Finland checked in. Juha. Good. Jocelyn was here a few minutes ago. Good. Well, I hate to go, but I could sit here all day and do this, and that about wraps it up. What did we do today? 5 essential processes: guitar string squeak and the field recording and plosives. The reverb attenuation, ambience match, all really good stuff. Listen, I got to go, and I would like to say thank you. This has been a really fun session. Thank you for staying so long and paying such good attention and asking such great questions. I love the questions. And this is just probably my favorite one ever, I think. And so I just had a really good time, and I want to thank you again for being here. And I want to say, no matter where you are, happy holidays. And if you're an American, happy Thanksgiving. Now get out there and get yourself some good deals and pick up Spectralayers. And one more time, Gear of the Year. Here we have Sound on Sound has chosen Spectralayers as Gear of the Year. And I'd like to ring out the year with you with all of my best wishes. And I look forward to seeing you again in the very near future. And so that's it. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.